All right, we're live. This is Patterdale Talk Wednesdays. New England Patterdale Terrier Club, LYL Dogs. I'm here with Marshall. We're here with Carson Hird, and we're gonna talk about the dog we love, the Patterdale Terrier. Marshall, I know you wanted to say a few things before we get started.
Yeah, I think we covered over a good amount of it, but I just want to say that, like, people here that watch this stuff, and if you're worried about how new Patterdale people think about one person's opinion, then they're already kind of screwed over because they're banking on one person's opinion on how to work these dogs. As we get more episodes, you can formulate your own opinion, but don't just bank on one person has to say. Like, none of us have ever said to go do that. And I wouldn't recommend that do that with dogs, period. Like, hear everyone out. Don't listen to one person. Hear as many things as you want to learn. Like, even me in working Patterdales, I've gone hunting with people that I just don't agree with. Like, I don't like how they hunt. I don't like how they do it. But they're more than welcome to fucking do it that way. Like, I've gone out with people who literally, plus my Patterdale I had 8 more on the ground. I didn't like that shit. But they kept doing it, and they feed their dogs, so be it. Like, that you're gonna find things if these aren't working dogs that you might not like, and you'll kind of decide what's your personal preference and what you want to learn. And as we keep having these episodes here, you're gonna hear people which you might not agree with. I might not agree with everyone has to say, but everyone here deserves to have an opinion. And the crazy thing about domestic dogs is, even if you're not doing the things necessarily right or the way you're doing it, you can still make it by. It's not like you're running wolves. Like, we're running Patterdales.
Exactly. So, yeah. That being said, we could get started. But there's always gonna be everyone's own opinion, to each our own. Just have positive vibes and just learn and have fun with this.
And just like Marshall saw, whenever I posted about that I was going to do this, I said everything that I'm going to share is what I've either been taught, what I've experienced myself, and that it ain't the God honest truth for anyone else other than me. And I truthfully do agree with that. That what might work on where you guys are isn't going to work where I'm at.
Yeah.
May not work on the West Coast, may not work, up in Minnesota or hell, wherever else they might have these dogs, Michigan, whatever it might be. So it's all about a learning experience, and you only learn by hunting with people that might differ with you a little bit. So.
Yeah, and that's basically, I mean, that's the main thing we want to do here is learn. Some of us are teaching, but I know I'm learning a lot, and that's the great thing about this is we all learn. But Carson, how you feeling? Same good, everything good over there on your end?
Yeah, it is. It's been a pretty productive past few weeks here, at least with me. So gotten a lot of things done that I was happy to get done, and probably some stuff that we'll cover later on in this podcast. So yeah.
All right, cool. All right, well, we'll start, with the basics. When and why and how did you get into hunting or get into the Patterdale Terrier too? Also, hunting and the breed.
So growing up in Oklahoma, I grew up hunting my entire life, and then I kind of stumbled across one day this compilation on YouTube about digging dogs and everything like that. And as most people probably know, I started off with Yog Terriers, and in between the Yog Terriers and me doing that, I got introduced to a little black dog that I was told was a Patterdale, and she in fact was, and she blew the socks off of, in my opinion, 95% of the Yog Terriers I'd ever seen. I mean, just the fact that zero dog aggression, she had a nose for days. She would just do everything that a Yog Terrier you would want in a Yog Terrier, but you didn't have to deal with the dog aggression. And so I started really thinking about it earlier on, about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, about getting out of Yogs. And so I moved my Yog to a guy who is going to breed them and hopefully carry on his genetics and everything like that. And I went full in on the Patterdales, and I can honestly say I probably never plan to own another dog for digging outside of Patterdales. So just the consistency on the level of dogs that you get is what has really driven me towards Patterdales. And, you know, just the consistency on when you get with the breeding, but when you also get them taken into the woods, just it's a high driving factor for that. And so, you know, where I live, I get a lot of calls for nuisance stuff, you know, raccoons and beavers even, and, you know, a fox here and there, whatever it might be. So these dogs just kind of fit perfectly into what I want to do with working dogs, at least. So
Have the Pats been like a easier keep than Yog?
Oh,
Yeah.
10 times.
Yeah.
10 times.
I've never heard anyone say a Patterdale was harder to keep than a Yag. The
Yog's
kind of tapped.
No, Yogs are every 3 months you order a new Garmin bark collar.
Yeah.
And you have the Red Rider sitting, you know, you get one and they start getting neurotic, and they're going to bust their teeth out on the cage. They're going to try and kill everything that comes near them. And everybody's going to tell me that I just haven't owned the right Yog.
Yep. I heard that too.
And you know what I got to say to that? Bull. Because that's a lot. The Yogs are consistent on about two things. They like to kill shit, and they like to literally be a pain, and be a pain hard. And I love them, but they are a pain compared to Patterdales. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, including the puppy, 4 Patterdales, and I bet you don't hear any of them, and they're right outside my window right now. So if I had Yogs, it would be night and day type of difference. So, but yeah, they're very much a way easier keeper than a Yog or any sort of.
You think they're also better earth dogs also?
Here in America? Yeah.
Why do you say here in America? What's the what would be the difference of not being in America?
In my opinion, Yogs over here are more like a Swiss Army knife of dogs compared to what they are in Eastern Europe. You start looking in Eastern Europe, and they really put a emphasis on earthwork over there. And over here, Yogs are expected to do a lot more than what they are, at least in Eastern Europe. Not in Germany. I'm not saying in Germany. Germany, they have a whole other set of standards for what they want compared to like Serbia or other places like that. And I know people are going to tell me I'm wrong, but I'm still in all those groups. I still see all the stuff that they post. You know, they put an emphasis on it over there. And over here, they put an emphasis on them being the Swiss Army knife of dogs, genuinely. Yeah. They're not a nailed down, you know, you either got barn busters in Patterdales or you got digging dogs in Patterdales. You're not expecting a Patterdale to go out there and retrieve a bird and bring it back. I mean, I'm sure you could get them to do it, but you're not genuinely expecting them to do that. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much what I heard.
Yeah.
They're tapped. They're a lot.
Oh yeah. They are a lot. But you get a good one, and I will give them this. If you get a good one, you will always hold your dogs to a little bit of a higher standard, because the one that I had that utterly impressed me, he was almost to the sense of a game dog, because he would truthfully rather die than give up.
Yeah.
You know, they have a different mental gear than what a lot of people are willing to admit. You know, because everyone in Patterdales is going to say, oh, well, my dog lasted, you know, however long, or this, that, and the other. And it's like, yeah, but you ever seen your Patterdale go one after another on big boar coon trapped in a silo. Me personally, I'm sure there's one out there, but I haven't seen it. And that's just, that's just why I think Patterdales are going to be the better of the choices for earthwork. And that's what I wanted to do. If I just wanted to go out and kill stuff in the woods every night, I probably would have just stuck with the Yog. So
Patterdale's making you somewhere in your area to where you can get at more game compared to the Yogs digging.
Oh yeah, 110%. 110%. They have made it accessible for me to dig in places that I have hunted with my Yogs that he just
never get in with the Yogs.
Yeah, he couldn't fit. He was a bigger one, but I also had some smaller Yogs. They still couldn't fit. Patterdales, they just have that extra oomph to want to get into a tight spot. Especially on the good ones. The one thing I've noticed is with Patterdales, at least the ones that I've hunted now, they don't really like to scoop the dirt out to try and make the opening bigger. They just like to force themselves in there and go where they need to go. And so that to me is a lot better whenever, you want to hunt more consistently. You want to dig in places that maybe not be accessible with a dog that has to shovel out and has a tendency to shovel out, which is a tendency at least a lot of my Yogs had, which were to shovel out dirt with their paws and then try and stick themselves in there. With the Patterdales, they're just straight into the ground. So, and I really appreciate that, at least where I'm at. So,
yeah, definitely. I think we all appreciate that about the Patterdale. Then what's your opinion on ratting?
I see it as a purpose, but I truthfully don't think you can put any merit on a dog unless it's had something roughly around its same size biting it in the face. It's a great means of control for a nuisance population of animals, but don't be coming around telling me that your dog that's only ever been on rats is comparable to my dog been on fox and raccoon and groundhog and anything else, Sure, rats can draw blood, but they're not, they're not putting it up there.
Yeah, I agree. I know from talking to Marshall, he agrees also. So,
yeah, I would say for the most part, I use ratting as just like conditioning. It's just a good way to condition and kind of keep up, and also for younger dogs and ratting in an urban environment, I can kind of test their nerves and see where their nerves are before I push the envelope. What I'm kind of wondering is
you give them something to do, and like he said, it also helps because everyone's trying to get rid of rats. So,
yep.
What were you gonna say, Marshall?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, do you see a lot of groundhog where you're at in Oklahoma? Because it's just crazy how they could live here where we're at. They're that far away. And like,
so in the last probably 3 years, I've seen more and more. Once you start moving up towards the Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas border kind of an area, you start seeing way more. You start going down towards the Texas border, you're not going to see any of them. You kind of want to be up in that, what is that, northeastern corner of the state to see them. And I've probably seen 4 or 5 in the past month, at least up in there. But they're not, you drive down the road and see 10 or 15 of them. So,
what's the weather like where you're at right now?
Right now, rainy and about, 50 degrees. Probably feels closer to 40 some odd. So, but just like you'll hear me probably say a lot, you don't like the weather in Oklahoma, give it a day. And different. 2 days ago we were 75 and sunny, and now we've had drizzle and rain and overcast for the past 2 days. So,
hey, 30-40 is not bad though. It's been last week it was about 9 degrees out here, so
yeah,
you know how it goes.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. So your primary quarry, is it just like groundhogs and raccoons? You get other stuff too?
Yeah, I mean the most of what we're gonna get is raccoons, and obviously our fair share of possums, and then we have a lot of armadillos.
Yeah.
You know,
Do they make a lot of the dens where you work? Because I've seen those armadillos. It looks like people's Patterdales are like grabbing them, and you always hear like that noise where it just sounds like nails on a chalkboard of them biting the back of that shell.
yeah,
And I gotta imagine, like, if you work enough of those armadillos, those Patterdales probably have like a ground down canine.
yeah.
They bite the back of those.
They definitely do. Yeah, they probably. I mean, I've had people come here from, West Coast. I've had some come from, middle of the country, and they all say, "Man, you have way more holes than what we see anywhere." You walk through the woods, and you're gonna see one here, one here, one here, because when you have an armadillo, they'll dig. Their entrance to their set will have 2 holes on each side, typically.
Yeah.
And then it will go straight, and then they might Y off with one in the center and have exits that come out. So yeah, they have a lot of stuff. They have a lot of stuff out there, a lot of holes, and you're gonna find, besides the fallen trees and the beaver dens, that's where you're gonna find most of your game is in there. Everything from foxes to groundhogs to possums and raccoons and armadillos, they all kind of utilize what the armadillos have dug out. So
Okay. Kennels was asking, how deep are you finding the groundhogs?
the groundhog, the few that I've dug to have been 2.5, 3 feet down. And that's most of our digs out here is about 2.5, 3 feet down. Unless you're digging into a beaver set where we find a lot of raccoons. Typically, the beaver sets will go underneath the bank. So here's the bank, here you are, and you're going underneath. And sometimes, how deep was that one we did? About 5 feet. Yeah, about 5 feet a few weeks ago. Yeah, about as tall as my girlfriend. So, they did that. So
is that the deepest dig you've done? Just 5 feet?
Yeah, roughly right about.
Yeah.
Ever or recently, or where you're at now? What was the deepest dig you did, like, ever?
Ever?
Yeah,
probably about 5 feet.
Okay.
Probably about 5 feet. I'm not out here digging, the 10, 15 feet or whatever it might be, like some of those guys. I mean, if I got the chance to, it would be cool to, truthfully do something like that, but we don't have that type of situation out here.
So when you're doing the digging, is it primarily like in the woods or farmland, or?
Yeah, a lot of WMA land. We have a lot of WMA land out here. I live probably, 15, 20 minutes from about, 20,000 acres of WMA land.
Nice.
And then an hour, probably, probably not an hour, probably about 30 minutes away, I can hit another 20,000. And if I drive about an hour, I can hit about 40,000 worth of it. So basically all around the big lakes here in Oklahoma. That's where you're gonna find the WMA land, and that's where you're gonna find all the game. If you don't have a creek, if you don't have a body of water here in Oklahoma, you're not gonna find jack all. You're not. There can be a cornfield or a winter wheat field or whatever in the world the farmers might be doing, but and growing at that time and place, but the raccoons are going to walk there at night and they're going to come back. They're not going to den anywhere close to that. They're going to go somewhere where there's water, where there's large amounts of timber. And so you got to kind of calculate that in as well.
Yeah, I can't speak on Mass enough because I'm still kind of new to the area. But in Maryland, if you are working like spots near like soybean fields and stuff like that, you'll find a lot of raccoons and groundhogs just kind of chilling on kind of the hedgerow side of it, not even necessarily near water, just in between fields.
Yeah. Coons is there's a lot of coons out here just because you're in the city and the food. Groundhogs, you gotta find like Marshall, we go to like farms and stuff like that where the groundhogs are at, and you can find them out like the secluded areas where no one kind of bothers them. That's where they, you know what I mean? That's where you could find them, more towards the woods or the outskirts of the city. But in outskirts of the city and the woods, you could find coons, just because, you know, city coons like trash and stuff. Like where I'm at, I live in the city, and yeah, in the summer you'll see coons crossing the street and stuff like that, coming out of people's backyards. Sometimes whole families, you know what I mean? Be a mother, father, and 8 little ones behind them. But
So I guess like in your preference in working with Patterdales, like what's like your preferred like type, like kind of like a straight catch, like a rough mixer, like what do you kind of prefer to get?
If you would have asked me about a year and a half ago, I would have said I want one that's gonna bite on and never let go. Now, if you ask me, rough mixer, more on the rough side, but a rough mixer. I'd rather have a dog that I can dig 3 days in a row now than a dog that, you know, is going to get torn up and then I'm going to have to put up for 6 weeks. That 6 weeks, that dog ain't worth anything. You know, it might be cool to post those photos on Instagram and Facebook and everything like that. But let's be honest. If you got a dog that takes 6 weeks to get back into business versus my dog now, at least the one that I've got here that is truthfully impressive now, that I can take out 5 days in a row, it's kind of a give and a take. That's what you're going to have to see, and that's what you're going to want to see. That, you know, it's just, and again, it's all up to personal preference. It depends on what you want. I do prefer, that's why I said a little bit of a rougher dog. I do accept a mixer, but a little bit of a rougher dog, because you get these dogs down in these beaver dens and the raccoon has more room to work than what you think. Most of these beaver dens, you know, Marshall, you look like a pretty big guy. I'm going to say probably, I don't know, 6 foot, something like that.
Yeah.
You could lay down flat in most of these beaver dens. And once I dig a big enough hole, I can literally squat down in there, tilt my head, and work.
How much would you say the beavers weigh?
The beavers around here, a big one, probably, I don't know, 60 pounds.
Yeah. I remember we was on a farm last summer, me and my cousin, and the guy, we had I actually had my pit bull with me at the time, so, but my friend and my cousin had a couple Patterdales, and he told us there was a 80-pound beaver.
Yeah,
that they
get big. I mean, beavers are getting big, and when the beavers aren't there, when the beavers have moved on, when the farmers have busted the dams up enough, and these are left behind, that's where the raccoons are going to be. That's where the raccoons are going to be. I'm not going to lie to you. I probably find 80% of my raccoons in beaver dens. That's just where I'm at. It to me, it's still digging. It's a different style of digging, because if you had a dog that was just a straight bay dog, you would never get a raccoon. They're going to shoot out the front. They're going to shoot out the side. They're going to swim across the creek. They're going to get past them. You got to have a dog that's got a little bit of ump to it. Yeah. That's able to, you know, make sure that raccoon thinks twice before it bolts. Or if you did have a lurcher, for instance, you know, that's where those a little bit softer dogs, in my opinion, would be killer down here. Because I bet if Marshall brought his lurcher down here, and we hit some beaver dens, and you get to the ones where 2 or 3 raccoons are pouring out of them, and your dog's got one in there, his dog have a heyday. You know, it's just one of those type of things. So you got to kind of pick and choose on what you want. And what you really want here, in my opinion, is you want a little bit of a rougher mixer. You don't want something that's gonna try and, you know, sit there the entire time and just take the damage, but you definitely want a rougher mixer. So
yeah, I mean, my old mentor used to always, in training, used to always ask me this question. He'd be like, "What's the difference between a dumb dog and a tough dog?" And
A dumb dog is a dog that hasn't been bit enough.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one way. He used to tell me that like a tough dog understands the circumstance he's putting himself into, where a dumb dog just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. And I've had plenty of those dogs. I've had plenty of them. I can't lie. I've had plenty of them. But when I started off, I really did. I wanted those hard nosed, never like you get them out of there and they're missing part of their ear. That's what I wanted. And now, after being in this for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, something around there, and I'm sure people will correct me if I'm wrong, but 4 or 5 years, I don't want that no more. I want a dog that I can work consistently. And that was one of the hardest things to understand, because, as one of my biggest mentors told me, a man's ego is a mighty big thing for a dog to carry. And I had to learn that. I had to learn that multiple times. So
everyone for sure does. Like that is a hard learning lesson. And I've noticed that like everyone who kind of has more of that like game dog style thought process in the game come into it, like their first thing in the pats is just like kill. And then like you start getting more in these dogs and you kind of develop more of a style to it. And that's just like everyone's evolution. I feel like if you start off with kind of that game dog mindset coming into these dogs, because it's really just like people don't know anything, hunting dog guys or game dog guys that hop in the pats.
I agree.
It's one of those three usually.
When it comes to pats, what's your preference, big or small, and why?
I like around the 13 to 16 pound range.
That's a good range.
Not too small, not too big. I like the middle of the road. If you're gonna, if that's what you would kind of, call it. I've got a dog here right now. She probably barely weighs 11 pounds, and she is a lot of fun to hunt. And I've got one here that's about 16 pounds, one about 12 pounds, and then a puppy that's probably going to grow into about a solid 21-ish pound dog, if I had to guess. And the 12 to 16, I think I said 13 to 16 earlier, 12 to 16, somewhere along there. That's kind of my ideal range. If I was bringing 2 dogs into the woods, I would want one on the smaller side, obviously, one on the bigger side, obviously. And that's kind of what I kind of base off what I do. Depends on where I'm going to go hunting. If I know it's a bunch of beaver dens, if I know it's a bunch of falling down trees, I'm bringing the 16-pound dog. If it's a lot of straight, true armadillo sets, it's going to be the smaller dog. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. I mean, the variety kind of helps. There are some spots where you kind of like pigeonholed. Mm-hmm. I always kind of hear a lot more people down south with pats and stuff like that talk about like, oh, anything under 20 pounds is going to die. Like they have like that mindset.
Yeah. I had that mindset for a long time. I can't lie.
Yeah.
People who have known me for a while will tell you the same exact thing. And I truthfully believe that if I had a dog that was 10 to 12 pounds and as hard as some of the bigger dogs, yeah, that dog probably would be dead by now. But you get a smart dog, like you were saying,
yeah,
you're gonna be fairly off decent. So
that's pretty good to hear. So as you've been doing this stuff with the pat you started off with, how is that pat, like, if you know, how is it bred? Like what blow was it were you kind of working with initially when you got into pats?
All that stuff from up in Kansas. Yeah. Okay. So all that stuff that's up in Kansas, that's always kind of a touchy subject. I know you know why, Marshall.
Yeah.
And but I have worked with dogs that I can more openly talk about, which would be Mason bred dogs and dogs from a guy here in Oklahoma, Moccasin Trail.
Do you have a favorite bloodline?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a favorite bloodline. I like the old school Nuddle stuff. I like that kind of stuff. I've been impressed too by a lot of the Cocker dogs. You know, just the Cocker dogs drive. You know, that's always been an impressive thing to me. It's just how much drive they truthfully have, and yeah, old school Nuddle dogs. You know, kind of like that. Been around some Mason dogs. Been around a few what you would call booth bred dogs, but truthfully, who knows? Those ones, that guy really didn't know. He was just kind of saying it, but
Well,
yeah.
Clute goes back to booth bred dogs, right? Originally.
No, Nuddle.
Where's Clute goes back to Nuddle? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your dogs that you have now?
They're, old Nuddle and let's see, old Nuddle. I have a little bit of Cocker. And by a little bit, I mean probably about a half in one of my dogs. And then that's basically it. Between those two, that's basically what I have in my yard right now is old school Nuddle, kind of bred to be what it needs to be, and a little bit of a Cocker out in one of my dogs. So whatever's truthfully in the Cocker dogs, I haven't looked into them. I don't know probably what I should know when it comes to them, because they are kind of the predominant dogs in the Patterdale world right now. You look at it, and
would you agree, Marshall?
I think they're the most talked about at the moment, for sure.
Yeah,
but I feel like for them, it's going to take a couple. I feel like we're almost 2 to 3 gens in where they need to be as far as versatile size wise. Like they're so close.
Yeah,
there. It's just taking a while, but I haven't seen any consistently small ones yet. Every now and then I'll see like one of one kennels will post like a significantly small one, but I haven't consistently seen it. But who knows? He probably got some in the vault.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Those. I mean, everybody that I have talked to personally that has had any sort of Cocker blood on their yard has been massively impressed by them. For that being its merit. That speaks to me. Some of the guys that I know that have Cocker blood on their yard, they wouldn't be feeding it if it wasn't, if it wasn't a good thing.
It wasn't legit, yeah.
It wasn't legit. And I feel like that's how a lot of people are when it comes to these dogs. And a lot of people that come into these dogs thinking they're going to be pet dogs, they don't understand. They don't realize that what might look cute and be a great couch dog for them is another man's just get it off my yard type situation. And I feel like that is going to be the biggest disconnect is as far as I know personally, these like Cocker dogs and some of the other bloodlines that are out there, they haven't yet ended up in the hands of people that are going to turn them into couch potatoes, and that's why I personally believe they're functioning a little bit higher. They're functioning at a little bit of a higher rev than some of the other dogs you might see.
And hopefully that doesn't happen. That's one thing we're definitely trying to do over here is keep the breed pure and make sure it's always doing what was bred to doing as far as hunting small game and digging in the earth and not becoming some little dog that people carry in a bag or just sit on the couch with.
Yeah, but he made a good point, is that like a lot of other lines are almost getting like watered down or have like pet variations of those lines, whereas Cockers.
Would you want to name some of those lines?
Me personally,
yeah.
On your opinion. I mean, it's your opinion. It's it's all it happens with any breed.
Yeah. up until a few years ago, Roughneck had pretty good, he had a pretty good standard. And then all of a sudden I saw his dogs. I remember actually here, I'll share this story. I remember when I was first getting into these dogs, I messaged the guy who owned Roughneck Kennels. He was in Oklahoma. I was like, proud Oklahoman. Let's do this.
Rest in peace to him too, because he's no longer with us.
Who?
The Roughneck guy.
Oh, I didn't know he passed.
Yeah, Curtis passed. R.I.P.
Yeah, Curtis. He did pass. I don't know, maybe like 8 months ago or something now, Marshall.
Yeah, probably 8 months.
Well,
Like that.
But I remember when I first got into it, and I was first looking around at dogs. He quoted me $800 for Patterdale.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's pretty respectable. That's what I still see a lot of these guys, they're asking for. As you guys probably have seen a few years ago, probably about a year and a half ago, they jumped up to $2,500.
Yep.
What in the world? Bro, what? Whenever I saw that, I literally thought he got hacked. I was like, this guy like 2 years ago quoted me $800. What's the $1,000 some odd dollar jump in price? And then I started seeing all the negative stuff that came from it. And then I recognized the one pet peeve that I truthfully have: the stupid 3 letters that come before some dogs' names. And that's what makes them jump. That's what makes them jump in price. People love a story. People love to be sold a story. And once you get sold the story, that's when an $800 dog becomes a $2,500 dog. Once you get to the point where you can sell people a story, you can sell them a $2,500 dog.
Mm-hmm.
And those people, they're going to be like, oh, this dog is a Hall of Fame. This dog is blah, 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 blah. And then they let it sit on the couch with no merit to its name other than what its great-grandfather did. It's just one of those situations where you see that, where you truthfully do see that. And then, you get these other people that are getting these dogs as yard dogs.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine. If you want to get a Patterdale for a yard dog, great. But don't be running out to get your dog when it's a year old and then be posting on the group saying, I need a female dog. I need a female dog, or I need a male dog. Who's got the chocolate color? Who's got this? Who's got that? Because now I'm pretty sure you get a good story going and you get some chocolate bred dogs, you can sell them suckers for $3,000.
Yeah, I bet that Moccasin Trail guy, all those
Like you
dogs.
said, if you can make people believe.
Yeah, but Moccasin Trail don't charge that much.
Yeah.
He don't charge anywhere near that.
Oh yeah. No, most people don't. I feel like Patterdales in general, as far as a working dog, they're fairly cheap.
Yeah, even Roughneck, they went back. I mean, before he passed away, if you went and took a look at their page, they had dropped down to 15.
That's still too much for me personally.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's what I would pay or that's what you should pay, but talking about them. I remember the last time I checked,
he did have
down to 15, and now it doesn't seem like, respectfully, it doesn't seem like they're doing it. Like if you check out the page now, I don't even know if it like pops up.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, people get, just like what happened with bullies, just like what happened with doodles, just like what happened with any sort of Cane Corsos, Tibetan Mastiffs. They get certain people in there that know how to sweet talk people, and then they just start wreaking havoc. And that's when you get dogs that are not proper examples of what's going on. And then everyone believes, truthfully, that they should be breeding their dog.
Yeah.
And that to me personally, that just doesn't sit right. Me personally, if you come to me and you ask me for a dog and I've never met you, I'll say, come out and hunt with me. Come out and hunt.
Mhm.
But if you're just adamant that you just want a dog, I'm going to shoot you a crazy price. Okay? I'm going to shoot you a crazy price. But if you come out with me and you go digging with me, you give me a chance to meet you, to understand you, you come out, you say, I really want to do this, chances are you're probably going to be leaving with a puppy. You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how it should be. That's how I've been for the past little bit. That's how a lot of the guys that I know are. And you'll hear it. You start talking to enough guys that have been in this for a long time, and they're going to tell you, money ruins this all.
Yeah.
Like everything.
Yeah, money. Like, obviously, if you're selling a dog just to keep dog food in there, keep your dogs up on vaccinations, help with vet bills, stuff like that, I can see that. But not trying to get rich. trying to hit the hit the jackpot with it type situation. So
No Frenchie prices.
yeah,
I was gonna say exactly what's going on with the Frenchie.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No French.
40, 50,000, 30,000, but now it's it's oversaturated. It's got ridiculous.
Yeah, because sooner or later, some person is gonna want a fluffy Patterdale, and people are gonna start breeding them.
Yeah.
Like just like with the red dogs.
That's
I see so many people ask
crazy.
colored Patterdale or chocolate colored Patterdale. And it's like, what does color have to do with anything?
Do you think going out of your way to kind of title your dog or getting those working titles, or is that like worth it? Or at the end of the day, like it only tells you so much?
I mean, yeah, I'm sure that it has merit, but I feel like it only has merit if you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
If you're doing it to sell people a story, because I guarantee you, we both know a guy right now that probably has more titled dogs than just about anybody. And how many times does he actually put their titles when he posts about them? None.
Yeah, none.
But we all know he has them. We all know his dogs have them. But he don't post about it. I think it all comes down to your character and what you have inside you as a person.
Yeah.
You're doing it for the right reasons. I see nothing wrong with it. In fact, I'd probably encourage it because it helps build the community. It helps make connections. It helps teach people, this is why we do this. This is what it's expected to earn this. It's a great thing to try and achieve if you're doing it for the right reasons. If you're just doing it to sell dogs, get out of here. Don't be doing it. You're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I feel like there's a way that they could probably set up the titles to where they could help people who are green go through the right steps of working these dogs if it's done properly.
Yeah.
And I feel like it could actually set for like a really good example because like I've had people that I talk to, or my friends who are falconers and do falconry, and they had to do a lot of shit before they got to the point of being like master falconer or something like that. They had to apprentice under someone. They had to pick up the skills. They had to have someone like sign off and say that they could do these things. And it's almost like no different with the earthwork stuff because the earthwork stuff is just so versatile. Like most parts of the U.S., you can figure out different types of quarry and just hop in and get yourself into some fun situations and some really shitty situations if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. But again, it's a learning experience.
Yeah.
And I feel like with all these events that are coming up for the Patterdale thing, for the Patterdale, community, I feel like that's going to be great. Because although they're going to be doing their stuff, they're whatever they're going to do, at the show wise, you get a chance to meet somebody who knows what they're doing. You go out and dig with them. I had to learn from YouTube.
Yeah.
And then I met somebody. If I was a new person, I would be encouraging you to make that drive. Go there. Talk to the people that are there that might look a little bit intimidating, might look like they know way more than you, and they may look a little standoffish because Patterdale community, for the most part, now there are some people, but for the most part, is really welcoming. They want this sport to be furthered. They don't want it to die in the dirt with them. It's just finding the right people. And once you find the right people, and once you learn that close your mouth, open your ears, that's another big thing I'd tell a lot of people. Close your mouth and open your ears. People are more adapt to help you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's something I wish I could convey to people in a way, you know, because I do come off, I know I come off as standoffish, and I come off as just abrasive sometimes. I wish that I could find a way to communicate with people how much that truthfully is going to help you. Yes, sir. A no, sir. You know, this, that, or the other. Instead of just getting a Patterdale a year ago and then jumping on people in the comments on Facebook groups. Like, that doesn't help anybody. That just makes people less likely to want to talk to you. You know,
you post your Patterdale killing something on very green grass.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of that going on recently too.
Yeah.
Like,
people going back and forth, and you know, a lot of it's you know, 90% of it's like opinion, you know what I mean, or maybe 80% of it's opinion, you know, and the other 20 is just facts. But you know, some people are just hard-headed, or like you said, some people are talking more than listening, so or willing to learn and just think they know it all because you know, they read a few books or they watched a few videos. Sometimes they're arguing with someone who's been actually on the ground and putting dogs in the earth for 20, 30 years. You know what I mean? But they're arguing with them because, like you said, they got a Patterdale a year ago and read a couple books and killed 1 or 2 groundhogs or something, but not realizing you're arguing with someone who's you know, been doing this for a couple of decades. So, but you know, it happens.
And as a lot of, and as you guys probably will attest, if I was brand new and you saw me jumping on Marshall's ass, would you be willing to help me?
Nah, everyone just turn their backs real fast.
Yeah. You see what I mean? Like, like, you know, you gotta be willing to learn that you're gonna be the low man on the totem pole, and that's fine. You're the low man on the totem pole for a reason. And once you start getting your feet underneath you and people start learning who you are, they're gonna ease up on you. But you know, you got, there's certain things. But like I said, I didn't like when it comes to the titles, when it comes to all of that, I think that's a good thing if you're doing it for the right reason.
Definitely.
What Marshall said carries a lot of weight. If they could come up with a system like they do in falconry, where you know you've proven that you've been on 100+ digs with way more experienced people than you, and some that are not, or some by yourself, and some with someone who's a little bit less experienced than you, and then you're allowed to start trying to put, you know, the 3 letters in front of your dog. I feel like that would be a super beneficial thing. Give something, you know, the only thing people love chasing more than money a lot of the times is status.
Trophies, status, trophies, stats.
Trophies. So why not put that desire for a lot of people to a good use?
And it's also I mean, it's also good for the dog. It's also good for the breed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you I mean, I say breed, but I mean, if you consider this a breed, some people don't. That's kind of a whole nother conversation. But what's your opinion on that?
It's, in my opinion, it's a type.
Okay, yeah.
Because no matter what anybody tells you, you got probably, I don't know, in my opinion, 4 generations, 5 generations. Hang on, wait. 5 to 6 generations of basing your line without adding some sort of bull back into it before things start going downhill for you. And so, in my opinion, doing that, that's when it becomes a type. It's a type of dog. You're breeding for a certain type. You you got certain things coming into it, but you're breeding for a certain type. And anybody who's out there right now, for newcomers especially, that tells you they don't add bull into these dogs, that's bull crap.
Yes, it is.
I see that too much. People out here saying this is a purebred Patterdale, bro. No.
So you don't think there's no such thing
As a pure Patterdale?
Yeah.
That hasn't had any bull, like any sort of bull breed put into it?
Yes. No bloodline, nothing, none of them. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just getting your opinion.
I personally can't think of one. Booth definitely has it in there.
Yes, alligator blood.
Booth definitely has it in there.
What did you say, Marshall?
I said Booth has alligator blood in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Booth, Clute, Cocker, stuff, Okay. They all have it. They all have it. It's something that people need to stop being scared to admit. Like, bull blood makes everything better. Let's be honest. If it didn't, they wouldn't add it. The guys before us, the guys who have their names that you say out loud, they add it for a reason. They add it for a reason. And the reason is you want certain desirable traits that are only going to come from dogs that are bred specifically for those desirable traits, and you got to add a little splash of it in there to keep those traits.
Keyword of splash.
Yeah, splash. Don't be coming to me showing me a 50-50 cross telling me the sucker is a Patterdale, when the thing weighs, I don't know, 30 pounds or whatever.
I would say 35 pounds, yeah.
Yeah, say it's a cross. Admit it's a cross. If people inside the registries would stop crucifying people for doing it, the breed would be a whole lot healthier. In my opinion, the breed would be a whole lot healthier. You wouldn't have so many. You wouldn't have so many. Feather-winged, feather-boned dogs out there. You wouldn't have so many health issues coming through. You wouldn't have so many genetic things coming through. You wouldn't have this, that, and the other coming through. There's got to be some sort of merit to it. Because sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, keep going.
Because before they started adding bull to it, and Marshall can attest, Gould added Jack Russell to it.
Yeah, he did. His shit pops up white sometimes, so there's like the white foot or like the white chest right here.
Yeah. And this is the other thing, before I let Marshall speak on it. You honest to God expect me to believe that some of the earliest people in America that had these Patterdales, they were bulldoggers and they were chicken fighters. You're telling me they didn't put a little splash of bulldog in them?
Yeah, if you put it that way, definitely. Because back then, it was still a lot of fighting going on.
Yeah.
So it would make, if you're fighting a dog, it would make, I would do it.
If you had it there, if you had it at your disposal, why wouldn't you? You're telling me that
fighting dogs, definitely.
You're telling me that Boudreaux didn't put a little in there? You're telling me Hammonds didn't put a little bit in there? You're telling me those guys didn't put a little splash of what they had going on their yard when it came to bulldogs in there? Nah, they definitely did. They definitely did.
It makes sense. Definitely when makes sense more when when they have the dogs on the same yard too. It's like, why not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one thing to go search and look, but if you got the dogs on the same yard, it's like, yeah, why? And if you're fighting, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So you're saying basically when you add bull blood to those pat crosses, you're doing it for mouth and stopping power?
Yeah, and health benefits.
Yeah, health, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I got one dog.
Stamina.
That could benefit from some bull in it right now. In my opinion, definitely she could benefit from some bull in it. It's in my opinion, just seeing dogs that do have bull in them, they are the ones that are impressing. They are the ones that, in my personal opinion, I would want.
Definitely,
That may not be for everybody, but that's what I want.
Yeah,
I'm not scared to admit it that I want a little bull in my dogs.
I know for sure it definitely helps with pain threshold.
Yeah,
I mean the pain for sure. Like if it only helps with that, I know for sure it helps with that.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at a purebred Staffordshire Bull Terrier and you kind of look at it and like squint next to a Patterdale, there's some pretty firm similarities.
Yeah,
looking at them next to each other.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, you start doing that, and you start putting dogs next to, if you were to print out a picture of an American Pit Bull Terrier, a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and an English Bull Terrier, and you were to start running them down the list of dogs you see posted in the group, you're gonna start noticing some similarities.
Yeah. My opinion, any dog, it seems like like I said again, my opinion, any dog they want to make better, they mix that American Pit Bull into it.
Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
What dog is added to American Pit Bull Terrier to make it better?
What dog is added to American Pit to make the American Pit Bull Terrier better?
Yeah.
Or to make the other dog better?
No, to make the American Pit Bull Terrier better. What dog do they add consistently to make it better? None.
I was about to say, I don't know. I know they add the American Pit Bull Terrier to everything, like a greyhound to get a lurcher or something like that. Yep. But I don't know nothing. I don't know what they add. It is American Pit Bull Terrier is what it is.
Yeah, you got to think about this. Those old guys that had American Pit Bull Terriers and started getting those Patterdales first, they had that same belief. Here's the American Pit Bull Terrier sitting right next to God himself and every other dog.
Yeah. Because and as I got older, I got into other dogs like the Patterdale Terrier too. But when I was younger, it was a Pit Bull. I didn't give a fuck about nothing else. Yeah. It was like a Pit Bull and that was it.
If it ain't pit, it ain't shit. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. If it ain't pit, it ain't shit. You didn't even want to hear nothing else.
Yeah.
You didn't even have time to hear nothing else. It was like ain't nothing fucking with a Pit Bull, but as you grow up and you get into learn more about what dogs were bred in to do as far as working, and even if they're sled dogs or whatever, you learn a little bit more as far as the meaning and why this dog is like that and looks like that and shaped like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anytime they want to make something better to me, I feel like they add the American Pit Bull, whether it's a band dog, whether it's a bull terrier, whether it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what people have to stop being scared to talk about. That's why in Europe, they're still considered a type. You talk to most people from Europe and they're going to say they're a type. They're not a breed. They're a type. Because they want it. They want to be able to add bull blood back into their dogs without being crucified.
I guess that's what we do as Americans, is just turn types into breeds.
Well, the whole thing is with America too is that in other countries they still, not saying there's not people out there that just do it for look, but they still, for the most part, their dogs are still working dogs.
Yeah. Where
in America, they're trying to turn everything to a breed because they start looking for like he was saying earlier, that now people are saying, oh, I want a brown chocolate Patterdale and shit like that. So everything turns into a look, into like in a fashion. You know what I mean?
But that's what split the Border Terrier from Patterdales, because a Border Terrier basically is a Patterdale. I mean, you want to get really technical, a Border Terrier is a variation of Pat, like it's got AKC-ified into like a breed type.
And once you do that, pretty much they start turning into household just dogs taking pictures. They're not working anymore, and that's pretty much what happens in America. I mean, even and that's with every dog. I mean, every dog out here is like they got them in the shows, and
it's like a uniform type every time. Like even like Patterdales in the U.S., like you associate Patterdales in the U.S. with a black coated dog every time. I don't think any part of the world that even matters.
There's only one dog though they don't allow in them pretty shows, and that's the pit bull, because you're not just bringing. They have shows, but it's all pit bulls, and if you realize they're not close, they're all trying to get to each other for the most part. You know what I mean? They're not at them shows where there's a whole bunch of people just sitting in the stands, or the Ookanuba type shit and all that type shit. You know what I mean? They're in backyard looking shows, or the ABT shows, or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to call them. You know what I mean? So,
but that's because those shows, when you start looking at real, in my opinion, dog shows for American Pit Bull Terriers, it's a different kind of person that's there.
Yeah, they know what they got.
They're there because they might love their dog in a little bit of a different way. I'm not saying that the other people don't love their dog, but they love it in a little bit of a different way. They love it in this is a tool. This dog was bred for its intended purpose. Because let's not fret. Show rings kill dogs. They kill breeds. Excuse me, not dogs. They kill breeds. They push them away from what it is. Because I know me personally, you get on the hog hunting groups around here, and you start talking about a dogo. Oh, dogos are blah blah, just terrible, da da da, this, that, and the other. Well, what happened to them? What happened to them? Why did they go from being everybody wanted the puma killing, hog slamming dog to what happened to it?
They stopped using them the right way.
Using them. People started showing them. They got a big white dog with cropped ears, and it looks cool, and it's not aggressive, and they bred the aggressiveness out of it, and they bred the hard to keep tendencies out of it, and there you go. Now you got a killer dog selling for $3,500 with AKC papers.
Yeah, as a dog trainer, I have people ask me sometimes about dogos, and I'll tell people a lot of the time is that, like, if you live in an area where there are no hogs, you're probably going to be buying a shit dogo. Like, that is a general assumption.
Yeah, I mean that's happened with pretty much every breed, except maybe the pit bull in the Patterdale and the
Greyhounds, Huskies, all those dogs that still have those consistent purposes. They're used consistently. Like I tell, that you guys are
Huskies, like they're in a mixed thing too, because like even where I'm at in Massachusetts, there's no reason why there's plenty of motherfuckers with Huskies, and they're just house dogs. They might it snows out here, so when it snows, they might let them out in the backyard or something. But for the most part, they're just pretty dogs that people just like the way they look out here, and everyone got them. You know what I mean? No one's working them.
If you find a sled dog team with them, if you find a sled dog team, they don't even look like the AKC looking husky. They're just like random ass, raggedy looking, like different eared mutts.
Yeah, they might have a nice coat because out here again, like people have them. They just like the way they look, so they probably bringing them to the fucking groomer once a month. So they look nice and shit like that, but they're definitely not. They're definitely not getting used out where I'm at, and a lot of people have them out here. And it's in the summer they're just summer, spring they're probably uncomfortable for the most part anyway. But
yeah,
it is.
Is there anything topic wise we didn't touch on, Carson? Do you want to talk about?
We get to one thing one thing we would say we was asked everything as far as feed, because that's a big thing and that's a big argument online right now. And that's not really a Patterdale question, but as far as feed, what do you feed your dogs?
I've had a lot of luck with Sportsman or Sports Mix. the black bag sports mix.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that.
Yeah, I feed my pit bull that right now. My Patterdale eats. I feed her raw, but it's obviously a way cheaper to feed raw than a pit bull. But the pit bull eats that. Yeah.
I swear by sports mix black bag. I swear by it. I used to feed the expensive stuff, the Purina Pro Plan, and I started noticing I couldn't get dogs to come into heat. But as soon as I switched to sports mix black bag, my problems went away. I used to be a true fan of Victor before all the recalls happened.
Same.
Same here. Yep.
I used to swear by Victor. I used to tell people, feed Victor. The one that I am interested to, if I was to switch up to go to a feed that was similar to Victor, the one that I'm really thinking about just biting the bullet on is the Ishinook. Yeah, that one.
I feed that. So that has been the best switch that I personally made as far as like bang for my buck.
Yeah.
Like the feeding.
Yeah. That being said, the one reason why I would do that is because one of the guys that I know that hunts that would run circles. I mean circles in a 3-month period around me at least. I don't know about other people, about me at least. When it comes to hunting, that's what he feeds. And his dogs look amazing all the time. And he's not just hunting his dogs. He is like busting tail every night. And he feeds that.
Yeah, it's helped me out a lot. Like I've really, I don't feed anything else right now at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, you start seeing big name kennels like Tom Garner start feeding it.
Yep. He's got big gals now.
He's got hundreds of thousands of dogs, in my opinion, on his yard. He's not going to feed something that he doesn't believe, that he hasn't seen proof or enough credit given to it to make it work. So,
I've looked into it, and from what I've seen, every dog, every owner loves it, and every dog I've seen on it looks good, looks great. It's just I mean, yeah, it's even a little bit more expensive than Victor.
Yeah. I've got my birthday for it.
Yeah, like I think Victor's around maybe like 70 where
dang, yeah, they're getting you up there then.
Yeah, out here, like the Victor High Pro Plus and all that, that's probably like, it's like $65, $69.
Yeah.
You might get it on sale for like 57 here and there.
Oh, yeah. We get it here for 53, 54 bucks a bag.
Okay, yeah.
We get Pro Plan 64 a bag for the big bag. And Sports Mix
40 pound?
Yeah. And Sports Mix down here is 35.
Yeah, Sports Mix out here down here, tractor trailer is about 35, yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Black bags like 35, red bags like 30, whatever the case might be. But out here, that was it Chinook or whatever? That's like
33-pound bag of a Nook Shook's about $65.
Nook Shook, huh?
33-pound bag of a Nook Shook's about $65.
But you got to think about it, Marshall. You can probably tell me how much it is, but per cup of that food.
Oh yeah, my 75-pound Greyhound eats about 2 cups to 2.5 cups a day, and he's stay fat on it.
So if you're feeding Patterdales, that's kind of where I'm seeing it at. If I'm feeding a cup and a half a day to a cup to most of my dogs and a cup and a half to at least 2 of my dogs. If I start feeding that stuff, the benefits of it, the calories in it, knowing that it's just the way that they make it, it's it can be a peace of mind type situation.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna, like I said, my Patterdale, I feed her raw, just all types of raw. I'm actually close to a Chinese market, so they have like everything from like pork heart, duck, chicken feet. Sometimes they have brains. Sometimes they just, you name it, they got it. So I feed my Patterdale all raw. But as far as my pit bull, I'm definitely gonna try the Nook Strip for sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna try it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ronald, I would pop a pallet with you if you ever wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could definitely talk about doing that, bro, for sure.
Yeah, because
I'm definitely trying to, get.
it just from what I have seen, it looks really good.
From what I've seen, how the dogs look, and I haven't been doing this for 40 years or whatever. I mean, I'm probably about 20 years in as far as having dogs and stuff like that. But again, like I said, I always had pit bulls for the most part, and now I got Patterdales. But yeah, I haven't seen many dog foods where the dogs look better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
You agree?
yeah, and this is the other thing I'm gonna say, as you guys probably know, the cleanup seems to be a little more manageable.
Yeah.
Well, that's the good thing about raw.
Yeah.
The cleanup is like should just be like dust shit. Like it's just not even, it's everything's pulled out of it, so that's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But if I'm feeding sports mix, I'm cleaning the kennels out every 2 days.
For sure.
When I was feeding Victor, it was like every 3 or 4 days. When it was Pro Plan, it was every 3 or 4 days. But from what I've talked to with people when it comes to the issue, whatever it is, I can't pronounce it.
Nook Strip.
They're just like, no. Cleanup's easy, and to me, that's something. Just like having an easy keeping dog, a dog that's not gonna bark and be neurotic. Having a clean situation and a clean setup is a way overlooked and way overlooked and a way over, not given enough credit situation. You got to keep your dogs clean to have them healthy. You don't want, I mean, would you?
It's almost like, honestly, that now because depending on where you can get raw, you might be able to get raw food. You might be able to feed your dog raw for the same amount of time as like if you buy Nook Strip and a bag lasts you 3 weeks, depending on where you're at and where you shop, you might be able to get enough raw for $80 that lasts you 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In my opinion, raw is better.
Yeah. I know a lot of people
better when it comes to the shit. I mean,
yeah. I know a lot of people that would agree with you. It's just, it's just something about and this may make me sound bad, but the ease of convenience.
Yeah.
Of a scoop of food.
It's foolproof.
Yeah.
It's 20 times easier.
You come home after a long day of work and hell, you start dreading doing that raw stuff. Me, it's just
no. It's definitely like I buy pretty much any type of raw, and sometimes I'll even buy like whole turkeys, and you got to cut them down, or I buy big packs of ground beef, and you got to divvy it up. Yeah, I mean, either way, it's 10 times the more amount of work. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Jamie Park said, I came from a game world 30 years, no bulldog in my Patterdales.
Jamie, we've been trying to get you on here, man. Come tell us that on this podcast. Like, explain verbatim. Like,
we could get him on here.
Yeah.
I mean, I could always, and there's also times we could put the link in the chat too, to where we could have people jump in. You know what I mean? It's up to us. You know how that goes. But
we could do that. It's going to be a long night to do that.
Huh?
So I'm down to do that. It's going to be a long night when we start doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't be long good nights.
Yeah,
What do
because
you think about though? What do you think about that caution? As far as you think that, do you think? And and hey, I'm not trying to start no argument or anything
I
like
don't.
that. But we was talking about it, so he's saying that there's no bulldog in his Patterdales, and
Well, then
he's
you gotta take a man at his word. You know what I'm saying? I'm not listen, like I said before, I'm not preaching that I'm the God honest truth. I'm telling people what my brain has come to the conclusion of. And I know me telling on here that bulldog's more prevalent in this breed than a lot of people think is gonna ruffle a lot of feathers. I know I'm gonna get told, you're a liar, you're lying, you're doing this for clout, you're doing this, you're doing that. Okay.
I mean, anything when it comes to this dog world could. I mean, us doing this live could rustle some feathers. Who knows? And then ruffle some feathers.
And
I mean, it is what it is.
And again,
We're
you
gonna have
gotta
fun
take
with it.
the man at his word. So if he's saying,
you gotta respect
I don't know what dogs he hunts, but if he's saying his dogs don't have bulldog in them, and I don't have tangible proof, like
who do you would say he's lying? Yeah,
like I do with Booth.
Yeah.
Okay, like I do with some of the other dogs. Then who am I to say he's wrong? So now once I look into who Jamie Park is and I look into his bloodline, then I can say I know at least one bloodline that doesn't have any bulldog in it. It has no bull in it. Okay, cool. I got proved wrong. That's the thing. You got to be okay with being proved wrong. And
I mean, and for the most part, you wasn't like I mean, for the most part, it's not even about proving wrong because, like you said before, you made that statement that it was just your opinion.
Yeah.
It's not we're not here to be wrong or right. Everyone has their opinion, and your opinion, every Patterdale or most Patterdales or have some bull in them. But that's your opinion, and you're welcome to your own opinion. And that's one thing we're gonna do here is always have our own opinions. Everyone's welcome to their own opinion. You know what I mean?
And if people want to tell me, well, that just doesn't sound right, that's fine. Because I've got screenshots and posts and people's testimonies on why I believe. You can get on to this Patterdale page and find why I believe there is bulldog in booth bred dogs. The later on stuff when he moved down to Ireland. That there's proof to that because down there, let's face it, and some people may also not like that I'm talking about this, but they do some different things in different parts of the world. Badger baiting is a real thing.
Yeah.
Okay, badger baiting's a real thing. They're gonna add certain dogs into there to make them improve.
They're gonna add that pit bull.
You see some of those dogs that come from that corner of the world that just have no bottom jaw.
Yeah, or they have like the mouth guard. Like you'll see those dogs in the trial have the mouth guard on them.
Yeah,
it looks like a hockey mouth guard. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they're 18, 19 months old, 2 years old. Come on, man. Come on. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. You had to add something with a little bit more spice to it than what you're going.
Anthro says, I always felt grit and Pats and Jacks come from a touch of bulldog, while gameness and a pit bull come from a touch of terrier.
Yeah. Again, everybody's gonna come to their own conclusion. I am never going to be the one that is going to just flat out tell somebody unless they say something just down
ridiculous. Yeah, because like we said earlier, 80% of it might be opinion, but there's still 20% that's just gonna be facts, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much with anything in life.
Yeah, and that's just what people, in my opinion, people are gonna see, and they're gonna, part of being who you are as a person, in my opinion, is being able to hear 20 different versions of the same story and then make your own conclusion. So people can think that I'm full of it. That's fine. Some people might think I got a little merit to it. Some might think I got a little bit more. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be one of those situations, you know? And I would rather have everybody out there hear all sides of the story, whether or not they're going to be a little uncomfortable for some people to talk to so they can make their own conclusions on things, than for people to be scared about talking about it and never share it.
Yeah.
And whether or not people are going to agree with that, that's just up to them. You just got to be okay with that. And when it comes to dogs, you just got to be okay with staying in your lane and doing what you do and hunting how you hunt and learning how you learn. Because some of the best guys that I know that have dogs, you wouldn't even know it.
Yep.
They ain't posting.
Yeah. They're just not involved into.
Yeah, they're not involved in it.
They don't do that. I got a couple of friends, and I mean, some of them are not even in the dog world really, but they're just not on social media. You know what I mean? They just don't, and they're from the city, but they just don't indulge. That's just how they move. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you got some other guys that they just feed off of it. They
live off
being in groups.
Their life,
they feed off poking people. They feed off getting that reaction and commenting something and deleting it and then going back and commenting again, hoping that you see it that time, hoping they hit your nerve enough that you're going to respond. And that to me as a person who has been in this just long enough to where I feel confident to do something like this, can admit that stuff is killing us.
Yeah.
That stuff is killing us. When these guys get on there and they start arguing like they do and start taking things way too far. Like I saw a post the other day with one of my good friends who's actually very active on those boards, and someone told him he looks like he smokes meth because he didn't agree with them on a post
over something that has to do with dogs.
Yeah. Never met the man in his life. And I will attest to this. I will attest to this. That man is about as solid as it comes.
And that's one thing, I mean, and see, that's one thing me and Marshall was talking about, is that as far as like here, we never want to do, because there's no reason. At the end of the day, whether we all got one thing in common, whether we like it or not, is that we love the Patterdale.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's, start insulting each other as men and, stuff like that is, that's uncalled for. And that's not good for the, that's just not good. That's just not good, period. And it's definitely not good for the type, I should say, I'm not gonna
I've been guilty of doing it too. But
I mean, everyone gets caught up sometimes.
But I've been pulled aside by older guys, and they've been like, "Look, I can understand why you did it, but you need to go about it a little bit of a different way."
Yeah. And that's the thing about it, where you don't gotta, because at the end of the day, again, it's just like most stuff in the world where you're talking about sports or dogs or whatever. It's people's opinion. You know what I mean? So there's no reason to insult someone.
Yeah.
As a man or as a person or as a human being over their opinion over dogs. And not saying dogs and not saying over a dog like, oh, dogs ain't shit, because I love dogs, period. You know what I mean? I love a lot of breeds in general, you know what I mean? But or types in general. But that's uncalled for. And
you see it more and more rampant. You really do. And that's fine. Like, I get it. If someone comes at your throat, you're more than likely gonna respond in a pretty negative connotation. I've done it. I'll be the first one to admit it. I've done that. Okay. Yeah. But I've learned from it. But here's the other thing. I feel like a lot of stuff gets misconstrued over the internet because you're not hearing that person speak.
Well, it's just like
Yeah,
it's just like a text. It's just like a text. When someone sends you a text or you read a comment, you can take it with any type of vibe or attitude you want. With that person could be being the goofiest person, laughing about it, but
Yeah.
you can take it the way you want to read it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, if it's what's crazy about it is it's kind of like if you're upset and you're flustered, you're gonna read a text or something upset in an upset way when that person could have been full blown laughing, joking,
Yeah.
have not serious at all, but because you're serious and you're upset right now over something that happened at work, you're gonna read that text different.
Yeah.
You know what, or that comment different. You know what I mean? And that kind of, and that's what sucks about, you know, the internet, and then the fact that, you know, there's other people watching and there's other people reading, it always heightens it.
Yeah.
So
And
you know, that's one thing that sucks.
And I mean, Marshall, I know I've had more interactions with Marshall, but I'm sure there have been things that I have posted and said that probably came off way more abrasive than I ever could have wished them to.
Yeah.
And me being the type of person that I am, I don't think a second time when I'm reading it and I think, oh yeah, that's good. But I think
you're going off your energy where, you know, again, the people reading it might not be on that same wave.
Yeah, but putting a little bit more merit into the fact that you don't know what's going on, you know, like, or, and the other thing I've struggled with is when people don't read within the context of the post and then they comment something.
Yeah.
You got to read within the context of the post, because the most recent one where I can admit I messed up was somebody had talked about how they liked a certain style of Patterdale that they had seen online. And I said, well, the only thing that matters is whether or not it works. And then someone commented back and said, well, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, you know, why do you think that he only cares about the looks of it? And well, in his post, he talks about how he breeds many English Bull Terriers. How many people do you know that breed many English Bull Terriers for anything other than looks?
Honestly, now in Maryland where I'm at, there's a little bit of a pickup on them, but for the most part, the majority of them are bred for looks. Yeah. And I will also say in the AKC list, I want to say miniature Bull Terriers are probably out of the top 5 most inbred out of the breeds for sure.
Yeah. And like, but you know, like people, like learning how to read within context, learning how to read why somebody might say something is something I had to learn personally when it came to these dogs, or why people might ask a question of, well, why did you do it that way? That's just what you want to, that's just what you have to sometimes be okay with. And, yeah, that's just, that would be one of the other things that I would leave with a newcomer is that take everything that comes across these boards with a little grain of salt, a little pinch of salt in it, you know, because they may be trying to construe something to you that you may not understand the lingo. You might not understand why they're saying that. That comment may have just popped up. Hell, you don't know.
Might go over your head.
Yeah, it might go over your head, because I guarantee you, Marshall starts talking about lurchers, there's going to be stuff that goes way over my head, you know, or if somebody is in there and they're talking about a line of dogs that I don't know about, like Jamie, the guy that was just in here, he starts talking about his dogs. I ain't going to know jack all about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's going to know about him. And he may know more than me on even the lines of dogs that I love and treasure. That's
okay. Yeah, love and treasure. Now, let me ask you this. Just because you said love and treasure, real quick, has there been any dogs that you lost in the ground that was like, you know, just any dogs that you lost in the ground, period, and how, or hunting, period, and how? But any of them that you treasured where it was like, you know, damn, I really love that dog, and
oh yeah,
you know, it got killed.
That first
Tell us a little bit about that.
that first ever female Patterdale that I ever hunted. Her name was Pooch.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That dog, oh my gosh, she was just like I said in the beginning. She was just insane. She was just one of those one of one dogs, and she didn't even truthfully belong to me. She belonged to one of my buddies. But when she died, man, I was
Torn.
up. I was torn up, and she died from, come to find out, an aneurysm. You know, she got into a scuffle with a raccoon a few days before. She acted all fine, came out the next day, bam, she was just gone. I took her to the vet, had the autopsy did, and they were like, yeah, it looks like she had an aneurysm. Something happened, blah, 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 blah. So you don't know if it was the raccoon. You don't know if she just had it naturally coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you also have to understand that every time you take these dogs out, it could be their last. You have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
You have to be okay.
You ever lost any dogs? Now I know that was an aneurysm where you brought her home.
Yeah.
You know, she was gone in the morning or when you woke up, or whatever the case might be. Have you ever lost any dogs like in the ground, or you seen, you know, your dog just came out of the ground, fucked up to the point where it was just, you know, done for, or even a groundhog, you know, they'll crash the dirt on the dog. Has that ever happened?
No. I've had dogs come very close on skunks.
Yeah, that's a dangerous one.
I actually, when I was hunting with my dog Olaf,
Where they got sprayed underground and the scent almost killed them.
No, he was. I mean, he was as close to dead as you can get. I had to push on his chest and blow air in his nose and rub him like you would a puppy that came out. And
yeah.
And he came back to life, but I had fully set in my mind in that 30 seconds from when I pulled him out and started doing all of that I had lost him. Yeah, that's a bone-chilling feeling. It's one that I don't think even the most experienced dogmen can honestly, or, you know, say they're going to be okay with losing a dog ever. And, you know,
especially if it's, you know, if it's a good dog, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
one of your favorites, I should say.
Yeah, and I know that there's going to be a time and a place where I'm going to lose a dog in the ground. I know that. Mm-hmm. I know my time clock is a ticking. I've gotten really lucky, and I know that time is coming. And when that does come, I'll have a better explanation on how I feel. But as of right now, I haven't really lost a dog in the ground. I know people that have lost dogs in the ground.
And shit, as Patterdale lovers and as the New England Patterdale Terrier Club, I mean, shit, that hurts for all of us. Anytime one of us lose a Patterdale, any type of way, you know, it sucks.
Yeah,
it sucks for all of us. We're all Patterdale lovers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When I first started this shit, I didn't realize that like 4 to 5 years old was like old Patterdale. I never understood why that was. I started digging and working them more, and it started making more sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those old guys, they'll tell you. The older guys in the game, at least with me, will tell me, you need to put that dog up. Yeah. I've been told that on one specific dog in my yard.
Yeah, go ahead.
But you need to put that dog up.
So what do you that being said, what is your opinion on the age? What age do you think is time to retire your Patterdale from obviously going into the earth? I'm not gonna say really ratting or nothing. I mean, I feel like they can do that a lot longer. But going into the earth, and as far as really hunting your Patterdale, do you go off retirement like when you feel like they slow down on working, or it's kind of like an age thing for you, period? No matter the dog, no matter if they still want to work hard, it's kind of like, okay, that dog's 6 years, he's done regardless of how much he wants to work. Or do you wait till they, you know, slow down on the work?
Yeah. The best piece of advice I ever got is hunt your dog hard until about 3 years old, breed the fire out of them till about 4, and then go back to hunting them.
And when you go back to hunting them, how long do you hunt them? So if you're gonna
until they can't. I mean, they're a hunting dog.
Okay.
In my opinion, you know, if it's the last of a line of dogs and you're really focusing on breeding and you feel like, in your opinion, that dog can be put up, then go ahead and put it up. But with me, I don't care if the dog is 3 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old. Now 10, I probably would cut it off. But up until about 10 years old,
if it still wants to work, you're gonna let it work.
And you're bouncing about, and you're ready to go, and you're ready to get in the truck, you're ready to put that Bellman and Flint on, you're ready to hit it, and you're not just getting absolutely obliterated because of your old age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any harm in hunting an older dog.
So you don't really differentiate between like breeding and working stock. It's just all the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
In order to be a breeding dog, you have to work.
Yep.
I'm not
No, I agree with that for sure.
You've got to show me something. You got to show me something
for me to breed you, for sure.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I'm not gonna waste my time hoping your puppies might have a little fire and when
there's a reason why you talk to a lot of those guys over there in Europe, and it's worker to worker. I mean, no matter what anybody says, okay, no matter what anybody says, Americans are still importing dogs from Europe for a reason. They're doing something right.
About that.
So what? Okay. So what's your opinion on that? What's your comparison on that? The American dog to the overseas dog. What do you feel like the overseas dog is just better? Do you feel like we have in the USA we have a bloodline that's better or the same or just as good? One thing I noticed that the dogs overseas are a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Probably because they're adapting to the game they have there as they should, as we would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what's your opinion on that as far as like overseas dogs compared to the USA, the dogs in the USA, I should say?
Yeah, so I see it as a two-headed kind of a question. There are going to be American dogs that can work in Europe, situations in Europe. Like there's European dogs that can work in American situations.
So it's a vice versa thing for you.
It's a vice versa, but here's the thing. I'm not gonna freshly import a dog from Europe and expect it to just go through and wreck groundhogs like the dogs that have been bred here for years are meant to do. Because European foxes are way bigger than American.
And again, they're like I was saying, they're adjusting to their game, and that makes sense on why their dogs are bigger, or why their Patterdales are bigger, I should say, not just any dog.
Yeah, and I feel like every dog is bred for a specific task. If everywhere had groundhogs like they do over there where y'all are at, I feel like there would be a lot more of those guys that are aiming for them small dogs.
Yeah, okay? and that's what's where we're at. And not to cut you off, Marshall will tell you the smaller dog, because it's so rocky and because it's the land we have out here, the smaller dog is and foxes are not big out here. The coyotes are not too big out here. Not saying that Patterdale is gonna kill a coyote. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just things are not too big out here.
Yeah.
And holes are not too big out here. So the smaller Patterdale is needed out where we're at.
Yeah, you just got to realize that they're breeding for what works, but in the grand scheme of things, like I said before, Americans are still importing dogs.
Yeah.
They're still importing dogs. What, you can't get away from that. There's something about Europe and their breeding practices, their breeding whatever is going to go on. That they're gonna be doing it, and we're still gonna be importing it. I mean, look at one of the most talked about lines right now. It's relatively freshly imported.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the dogs are.
What line is that?
Cocker.
Yeah, we gotta mention it. You gotta even if we know it.
Yeah,
It's gotta be said for the viewers.
Yeah, Cocker.
Like, comment, and subscribe, please. If you're viewing this, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, Cocker dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're still getting imported right now.
And I mean, on the last live, I was actually talking about with the Marshall and our last interviewer, how I actually got a buddy who his last 2-3 dogs, he actually flew out to different countries, bought one here, bought one there, bought one here. You know what I mean? And obviously he's back here. He lives in Mass. You know what I mean? But yeah, he actually his last 3 Patterdales he actually flew out to different countries and got them, went there type thing. You know what I mean? So
this is going to bring me to my next question for Carson. Is that what's been? You might not have even experienced this at all, but have you ever have any experience with terriers and paper hanging?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
That sucks.
Just like when it comes to bulldogs, bro. Like a lot of people are gonna attest. Just like the guy that was in here a little bit ago, he was in bulldogs. Go ahead and ask him how many bulldog pedigrees he would trust. Okay, when you got those guys coming over here, they're doing it because they want to protect what they have, what they've done, what they've built, and they don't want to know. They don't want everybody to know their secret sauce to make the secret ingredients, the secret sauce, the secret splash of this and splash of that. They don't want to know it. I mean, you look at it in every other part of the dog world, and papers are hung all the time. Whether or not it's to hide the fact of how inbred a dog is, whether it's to hide the fact that the dog has a little bit of this in there,
or whether it should just have fake papers I guess you're doing it and you're gonna get real papers, but just for breeding purposes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure.
Now let me ask you this. That being said, is there any, and I mean, you can answer this if you want, but is there any bloodlines that you don't trust because of hanging papers in the past, history or reputation of hanging papers? Is there any bloodlines where it's like, yes, I love Patterdales, I rock with them, but this bloodline I don't rock with because of papers being hung in the past, or even papers being hung now? You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, the only thing that truth to mind is the people that
run this guy out.
The people that I don't know. I don't necessarily think there's any right now that haven't been uncovered.
Okay.
That people don't know. Because, I mean, you can get on there and uncover the whole Booth situation and the whole Cocker situation, and
yeah. As we all.
It's all kind of out there, and whatever world it's gonna be. But that's fine and all. But as of right now, no.
Okay, that's a good. I mean, in that answer, I mean, again, your opinion. So even if it was yes, but where we're trying to go with these Patterdales, and we're trying to keep them pure, and keep them doing what they're supposed to do as far as working and hunting. That's a good thing to know. You know what I mean? That's a good thing where it's like, no, I don't trust any. I mean, I don't not you know what I mean, trust any bloodlines where it's like, oh no, I don't rock with them because I don't trust in the past that papers have been hung on that bloodline or anything
Yeah,
like that. So
I
that's a good thing.
I think that to say that paper hanging doesn't happen is a naive thing to say, but to also say that paper hanging is rampant is also a naive thing to say. I'm sure it happens,
Yeah, I don't think it's rampant,
but I don't think it's crazy out there, you know.
I think honestly, I think there's other breeds. Like I know it's definitely. I know. I honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I know it's rampant with Frenchies right now.
Yeah, the fluffy ones. Come on, man.
With all that, yeah, all the pink shit, fluffy designer shit. It's definitely rampant with
Yeah,
the Frenchies right now. It was getting a little crazy with the American bullies at one point too.
yeah, and I'm sure, you know. But I feel like Patterdales have been blessed to have people that value the working standard a lot more than the papered standard.
That fact, and I mean, honestly, there's a lot of people that do, but there's a lot of people. There's more people that don't know about the Patterdale in general.
Yeah, and even the people that are at each other's throats on these groups,
Mm-hmm.
they will all agree one thing: papers can only go as far as you can crumple them up and throw them. Okay.
So, do you think papers are important or no? Or
Yeah, I think they're important to track and to understand. You know,
depending on what you're doing. Yep, yep.
yeah, what works. But I mean, at the end of the day, it matters whether or not that dog's doing what it's bred to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Because the papers ain't going down the hole and going face to face with something.
Oh, that's what that's always been a question you got to ask when it comes to the dog world. But there's some dogs where, I mean, the Frenchie again. I mean, and not to keep bringing up the fucking Frenchie, but just using it as the example, the Frenchie again, where it's like everything's kind of like the bloodline and the papers and stuff like that. Where the Patterdale and hunting dogs in general, you got a lot of people where they'll care about the papers because maybe sooner or later they want to breed or have something like that. But yeah, for the most part, if you're a hunter, if you're a farmer, you're not really caring about papers because you're just getting this dog to work and kill something. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
whatever herd or whatever you got to do. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Those I agree. I feel like those when you start getting into situations and you start getting into the scenarios where people start putting more merit on papers, that's when the struggles with the hanging of papers and the lie
Mm-hmm.
about who might be the sire and who might be the dam start coming into play, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Because I know with a lot of the cocker dogs, because they were a hot commodity there for a minute, and they still are, that people were lying saying they were breeding these dogs into them and
Yep.
doing anything just to say they had that name on there. But that kind of got put out pretty quickly. The guys who did it got called out and they got kind of, aired out to the whole community as what it was, and things were
Mm-hmm.
out. And I feel like because the Patterdale community is small enough, we can self-regulate that. But
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, that's definitely something that we're gonna that we want to get the we want to get the type out there, and we want people to know about the Patterdale Terrier, but at the same time, where I'm coming from as far as like, you know what I mean, you got to be working these dogs or you don't need to know about them.
I caught the tail end of what you guys are talking about because I had to run this board and train out, make sure he stayed clean. But I have heard a lot of the paper hanging stuff associated with the cocker blood, like you were just talking about. Like
yeah,
that was kind of always what I heard.
yeah. But that all got kind of cleared up. I feel like we were able as a group of dog owners to self-regulate that, and to not let that slide. and to put those people that were doing it for the wrong reasons, you know, put them out there, let it be known. And
yeah, I think in the Patterdale world, as far as like you said, it's small enough to where if there was someone who was hanging papers and you know, it's out there and we find out about it as far as the Patterdale world. I mean, yeah, I mean, my opinion, they need to step away.
yeah, because
And
I'm
if they're hanging papers, no one in the Patterdale world needs to really needs to rock with them.
yeah, because I mean, come on, we all know the main guy who owns Cocker Dogs. Okay, we all know the main guy that owns Cocker Dogs. He ain't gonna let that slide. You know, he ain't gonna let that slide.
No, he's not.
He's not gonna let that slide. He's gonna regulate it. He's gonna tell the people what.
And we all should as Patterdale lovers.
Yeah.
If you're hanging papers, you don't need to be in this community.
Yeah, no,
You know what I mean? That's something that is not necessary, and there's enough legit Patterdale breeders and legit papers out here and all that good stuff and legit working dogs and things like that where no one needs to be doing that. And if you're doing that respectfully, you don't need to be a part of this fucking community.
Yeah, no, because for everything that it is, for every bit of drama that there is when it comes to that kind of stuff,
yeah,
it works itself out at some point in time, at least in this group.
Yeah.
Because like I was telling him, Marshall, when you had stepped out, the guys that hate each other the most, they all can agree on some pretty common core fundamental things.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, they may not be able to set foot in the same room as each other, but they can all agree on some core fundamental things. And I feel like that right there is the essence of what you need in a group.
I mean, at the end of the day, like I said a little while ago, at the end of the day, no one viewing this, no one involved in this, no one we're interviewing, whatever, has to agree on anything. But there's one thing that we all got in common, period, and that's we love the Patterdale Terrier. No matter what our opinion is on hunting styles or what colors or whatever the case might be, I don't give a fuck if it's your opinion on shovels that you use.
Yeah.
We can all agree that and we're all alike in the fact that we love the Patterdale Terrier. So that being said, yeah, like you said, it should all be a group thing, and it should be something that we all take part of and have fun with.
Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
That's just gonna be what it's gotta be. That's just gotta be what it's gotta be. People just are gonna have to, they can have their disagreements, they can have their little quarrels, but you gotta have your set things that people aren't gonna bicker and fight over. And we have those. We have it set. We set in stone for the most part. Of what people aren't and are gonna bicker on, and what people can't bicker on, because it's just set in stone. So,
facts. What was you gonna say, Marshall?
No, what were you gonna say?
Oh, this is a question for him. That what as far as game and as far as Patterdale's hunting and what's your opinion in order as far as like the hardest thing for like Patterdales to deal with, whether it's like whether it's raccoon first, groundhog second, in an order, like hardest to like easiest. Obviously something like a rat don't matter, but coon, groundhog, fisher, possum, You know what I mean? In your order, what do you think?
So in order of the toughest game,
Yep.
otter, rac-
Okay, so otter, that's
well,
one we didn't even include yet.
hang on, otter,
Okay.
badger if you can get it in the ground, raccoon, groundhog, possum, so on, so on. I've never dealt with a fisher, so I don't know where to do it. I've seen photos of what otters.
You said otter.
Yeah.
I'm just making a quick notes because I'm gonna start making notes and comparing to, getting the percentages of what people say.
Yeah.
So you said the otter and the coon second?
Otter and badger if you can get them in the ground.
Yep.
And then raccoon, groundhog. The only experience I have with fox, and it may be different where y'all are, but they gave up pretty quickly. So I put it underneath the groundhog.
You're talking about gray foxes you have in your area, right?
Yeah, gray. We have.
You say you put the fox under the groundhog.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff. And this is all underground. Earth.
Underground. I've never caught a gray fox underground.
Yeah, no, no.
Yeah.
I mean, a regular fox you might find in the den or something.
Yeah, I would say. I mean.
So you say, okay, otter, badger, coon, groundhog, fox, and then what would be after the fox?
I don't know. You start getting into the ones that people don't really put a lot of merit on. Possum,
yeah,
armadillo.
Yeah, we said that. Yeah, we're not even gonna. I'll mark the possum down just because it's in there. But yeah, armadillos ain't doing shit. Yeah, so we'll finish this. So, okay, yeah, that was just I just wanted to get your opinion on toughest game.
Yeah, the one that I did.
And you never dealt with a fisher.
No, the one that I did miss that I've heard and seen. I haven't hunted, but I've heard and seen that I would probably, just from hearing and seeing, that I did miss nutria. I put nutria above groundhog. I put nutria above groundhog.
Ain't that just a big ass water rat?
Yeah, with teeth that will put a 2-inch hole. Dog.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Is it just like a beaver where it kind of goes from a hole to underground to dry?
Yeah, but they're not. Yeah, they're not even close to the size of a beaver. They're literally like a fucking like a
20.
I would say yeah. I was gonna say like a 15-pound rat.
Yeah, you gotta have a
really fast as shit.
From what I've heard, you gotta have a smart dog, because they do have teeth. They do have teeth. And
I seen the Mink Man fuck with him. If you go to the Mink Man's page, he got a mink fucking with him, and then he got another video where he got like a dog and a mink kind of like getting to him. But
yeah. And I'm just saying that, and the reason why I put it above a groundhog and why I put it above the other things is just from the damage that I've seen that they can inflict.
And this is the Nutra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the damage that I've seen they conflict, and from the people that I've talked to that I openly trust, yeah, I'm gonna say nutria in there. But the top tier, the one that you send your dog in, and 9.5% of the time it's gonna die, is gonna be that river otter. It's gonna be
I wouldn't even. I mean, me personally, I'm not sending my Patterdale to a Rob. We're gonna have to bring out the pit bulls for that shit.
Yeah, no. But there's always a chance of it happening, especially where I live, because I hunt alongside a lot of creeks that come out of lakes. And
definitely, I mean, Marshall was just telling us how a buddy he had, a bear came out and snapped and killed his dog. So I wouldn't be surprised if an otter came out. Them shits is smaller and definitely sneakier than a bear.
Dog.
Huh?
An otter can just drown your dog. You can hear stories about coonhounds getting killed by otters.
Yeah.
I've actually heard of coons doing that to a dog.
Oh yeah, coons will drown the dog.
They will too.
Yep, I've heard that
hands
a lot. I've never seen it. I've never seen it like personally where I was there, but I've had like people I've talked to, like, yeah, if I had a dog that the coon drowned it, or of course you read it in the book, or
some of the stories that I have straight up heard about people who have actually encountered otters is that they just take chunks out of a dog.
Yeah, I heard of a guy who's Jack Russell got his whole sinus and nose ripped off by an otter.
Yeah, I mean, otters is I mean, even when we was talking about the neutral, right? The mink man sends the minks towards the neutral more than the dogs, because the way the minks kill shit and swim and all that.
Yeah.
An otter is a fucking huge ass giant mink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otters are dangerous as shit. Like, I mean, even for humans, otters are dangerous. They'll take a chunk out your fucking leg. I mean, otters crack fucking clamshells with their teeth. It's not a
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not nothing to fuck with. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took a chunk out of a dog. I mean, greyhounds rip off a dog. I mean, not greyhounds, groundhogs rip off a dog's nose.
Yeah.
When they're in the ground. So I mean,
an
otter is fucking a groundhog on 10 steroids.
Yeah, you get you get enough. How do you put it? At least where I'm at, the hardest game, the most one that's going to be doing the most proven is going to be the raccoon. The most easily available is going to be.
You have badger in the area in Oklahoma?
Yeah, but catching them in the ground is a different story. Because they dig a hole out, they'll sleep there for half the night, and they'll get up and they'll move.
Yeah.
So catching them in the ground is a whole different situation. Okay. They don't really stay still very long. So when you catch one in the ground, you better have your T's crossed and your I's dotted, to be able to get to them. So, but yeah, raccoon is gonna be the hardest one, the most plentiful one. But like I said, above all is gonna be a river otter. So they just stories I've heard from the people that I would consider to be 100% truthful with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't even personally I wouldn't even try to use my Patterdale. I mean, these are earth dogs. They're not fucking water earth dogs anyway, so I'm not fucking with an otter, you know what I mean?
That's what Airedales are made for.
Yeah, there's other shit for otters. You know what I mean? Like a pistol.
Yep.
So
I'm
not gonna do any other things, but yeah, man. Hey, we've been on here for what, 2 hours?
You've been riffing. It's been great.
Yeah, man. Talking good stuff. We got some.
You got 2 questions.
What was the
Ask the guest if he knew Sooner Pride Terriers.
No.
Ooh.
No, I ain't never heard of them.
And Anthro, before that, he said, "How about beavers?" For the most part, when it comes to like a hard type earth dog, you really shouldn't be using them on beaver. Yeah. We've already talked about how large they are. So if your dog really wants to latch onto a beaver and it gets to swimming, your dog's going swimming with it.
Yeah.
And that's even like, I mean, like I was saying, the guy, we was at a farm and the guy said, "Look out, there's a 80-pound beaver around." So I mean, even if you have like a 50-pound dog, if that beaver manages to get the dog in the water, it's a fucked up situation. I mean, even if it's a 70-pound dog and you got an 80-pound beaver, if it manages to get that dog in the water, that dog's done.
Yeah.
This is what the beaver does water. This is what it does.
And
you know what I mean?
But no, I've never heard of Sooner Pride Terriers. The Patterdale guys, here in Oklahoma are, you know, it's a pretty small group of us. I can think of right now active 1, 2, 3 guys that I know besides myself that are active. And yeah, but I've never heard of Sooner Pride Terriers. I would not recommend sending a dog on a beaver. All right, unless you got a real loose band dog and you're standing up and you're gonna shoot it. That would just be my personal opinion. Yeah, it's not worth losing a dog to try and make it look cool.
I'm inclined to agree with that. I feel like more of a bang type dog is more suited for that type of quarry.
Sooner Pride passed, but was old school terrier men that had early
imports.
Huh. See, the only guy that I know personally had early imports was Dale Gill.
Yep, that's a good dog, man. That's someone I want to have on here. You want to talk about working man's prices? I doubt that guy charges any more than $350 for a dog. Still,
some purists didn't like they made some crosses with a Bedlington.
Bedlingtons, yeah. I mean, so funny thing is Bedlingtons are one of those dogs also that are very crossed up English type breed. Yeah. A lot of the stronger, and I've hunted with Bedlingtons before. So like a lot of the Bedlingtons, the ones you see the stronger headpiece and they're more black in their coat, they have Patterdale in them.
Yeah. No, like I said, I've only been in this 5 years. So if it was before then, yeah, I definitely didn't know him. But you know, there's some really good guys here in Oklahoma that have Patterdales. You know, some really nice guys too. I know Mr. Gill. He's a wealth of knowledge. And from what I understand, he was like one of the truthful originals who went over there and hunted on the other side of the pond and did it that way and kind of built his connections and has really impressed a lot of people with his duck dog.
Oh yeah.
And some other dogs, which I can't remember where exactly I heard it. I think it was on YouTube somewhere. If I find the video, I'll send it to Marshall and he can send it to you. Talking about duck dog and all of that stuff. It was a pretty interesting video. But
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But there's some really good guys in Oklahoma. Even some guys that I don't agree with, who probably don't agree with me and who probably don't really like me. I'm not gonna, they're good guys.
So there's good guys, there's good dogs in Oklahoma, and but you like dogs from Kansas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you would say, so your opinion is the best dogs are out of Kansas right now, or in the past, or
for what I like, for what my money and my time and what I'm gonna feed is, yeah.
And why do you like the dogs out of Kansas? Why do you
just from what comes from
nose, the digging, the nose, both?
Yeah, all of it. They're just the most complete dog. I have a dog here right now that I would tote against anybody's top dog.
Okay. And that dog's from Kansas.
Yeah.
I will say, me personally, I've heard a lot of good things about working dogs in Kansas in general. And like,
do you mind me asking the bloodline?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's cool. That's cool. Hey.
Yeah. Listen. If I would have cleared it with, if I would have cleared it with some people beforehand, I'd be a little more aptitude to talk about it.
Yeah.
But since I didn't, and since I respect certain people a lot, and I don't want to burn bridges, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on that.
Oh yeah. Listen, bro. I understand. I gotta ask. But yeah, I totally understand. Shit, you don't even gotta explain. You just gotta say no. You know what I mean? So I get it. I totally get it. You know
And
what I
I'm
mean?
say that the best dogs, point blank period, are coming out of Kansas. But what I am going to say, the best dogs for me,
From your experience.
they come from Kansas.
Okay, for me, and that's how it goes. Your experience, your best dogs come from Kansas, ain't?
And there are a lot of good dogs that come from Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
There are some stone cold killers that come from Missouri. And what's the one? There's some that come from Oregon.
Oh yeah.
The clute stuff, that's all really over there on the, as far as I know. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. The most part, the clute stuff is over there on the West Coast. I've really liked and seen, liked what I've seen when it comes to certain dogs that are clute bred. Do you know the Patterdale dude in KC that owns a furniture store? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But
do you know a guy in KC that, I mean, I guess, do
a
you
very
know the
question.
Patterdale dude? So I guess it's a guy in KC that owns Patterdales and, you know, rocks with Patterdales, loves Patterdales, but also owns a furniture store. Do you talk to anyone out there that you know where
no,
he's
I
in
don't
the
know that.
Patterdale world, but also runs a furniture store?
No.
Okay.
Is there a bloodline that you can think of that you haven't really messed with that you want to mess with?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there is one. So I hear, and I heard you mention it earlier.
That's a good question. I
That
like that question.
that Noah dog.
Yeah.
From the get go, I've only heard good stuff about him. You know, and I'm of the type of way and situation and belief that, me personally, I don't understand how a dog that was alive 10, 15, 20 years ago can still be mentioned so much unless you're using AI and frozen semen and stuff like that.
Yep.
But it seems like that.
I mean, I don't know about that, bro. You said 15 years ago?
Yeah, Noah probably got collected in like the late 80s, early 90s. I'm gonna get corrected for this. Might be early 2000s. I'm willing to say that because I owned a Noah.
I mean, he said if there's a dog that that still can be mentioned from 15 years ago. I mean, so you're meaning like the dog passed away 15 years ago and still be mentioned now?
Yeah.
I mean, that could easily happen. I mean, you could have if a dog passed away 15 years ago, you could still have a puppy straight from that dog that's still alive.
Yeah, but that would be 15 years old. Probably older.
True, very true. The dog would be 15 years old, but I mean, it's a direct descendant. Like it's not. It's the child of that dog. And then if that dog had puppies, you could have puppies that are 7 years old or 8 years old. Why wouldn't it still be mentioned? That's the whole. That's kind of
yeah,
like the whole point of a good
but like,
bloodline, right?
but the thing
Exactly.
is that once you start breeding in the past instead of breeding in the future, that's when you start losing a lot of stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, but there's something to be said that like I'm just gonna throw like what was that male Yag you had? What was his name?
Olaf.
Olaf. So you're telling me if you got Olaf collected like right now, and let's just say 15 years down the road you got your kids and they're getting into these terriers, you're not gonna want to look at them and be like, hey, do you want to have what I had when I was your age? Like, do you want to have an Olaf?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're using frozen semen, then it's still relevant.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if you're not using performance, if you got a dog, like you said, if you had a dog where it died 15 years ago, had a puppy or whatever, and the puppy's 15 years old, and that puppy had babies where another litter where it's those dogs are 7 years old, And that original dog, the grandparent, they're only, and obviously you bred it to other things, but what if, what if you're breeding that dog back to, a brother or a son?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? From the same, from the same bloodline, where you're breeding just back to the same bloodline type thing.
Yeah, but you're breeding from those dogs. You're breeding from the dogs that are there right there at that time. Unless you're doing a frozen semen breeding straight from that dog. Yeah, you're breeding from the dogs that are there. So if you have a litter off of that dog, that is, let's say you had a litter of 5, all of them turned out just dog water. You're still gonna breed them.
Oh no! See, no, of course not.
But let's say you had a litter out of 5. Let's say you had a litter out of 5, and you had 2 that worked, and you did a brother-sister cross. Yeah, then I'm still gonna mention them. Then I'm still gonna be like, this is a double bred Noah dog.
Right. Okay, cool. We're on the same page.
Yeah, you just described JoJo dogs. That's a Yaga.
Yeah. No, we're on the same. We're on the same page. Yeah, we're on the same page, because that's basically what I was asking. Like, because if you're basically inbreeding.
Yeah, no,
if you're bringing them right back, you know what I mean? Then how could it not be? But yeah, we're on the same page. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Miscommunication, but it's just my biggest problem is, and I'll correct myself. Let's say 30 years, okay? Let's say 30 years. Let's say you don't have a single drop of frozen semen from this dog. Okay, and it is let's just make up a random name, a double bred. Oh, we can use Olaf for example. A double bred Olaf, great grandson, 30 years removed, and you're still mentioning his name. That's where I start getting confused.
No, we're on the same page. At that point, I would hope that if Olaf was a big name, I would hope that from Olaf, there's dogs that had big names too, so where you don't have to use his name. You could use Olaf's grandchild's name or Olaf's great grandchild's name, because those dogs did their thing too. So that, you know what I mean? But we're on the same page. We're on the same page. But I agree with you.
Yeah, to answer that, I want to hunt something that has pretty heavy.
I agree with you.
I've heard nothing but good things.
And I don't want to hear nothing but good things too long ago.
Yeah. Because let's face it, I don't know exactly how old that dog is, but if he lived in the early 2000s, the son of a gun's 26 years old.
No, you're right. I totally agree.
So if it's a double inbred off of him, say it's a double inbred off Noah, state what it's coming from.
Then that's different.
And that would be something I truthfully would be interested to see, because I've heard good things on him. Same thing with Mason's Arnie.
Oh yeah, I've heard great things about Arnie for sure.
All right. Obviously he did something right. That dog did something right, because he was bred, and I mean bred. It's in all of his dogs. Whenever it comes to that, that would be another dog I'd be interested. I've hunted with and along some Mason dogs, and I was thoroughly impressed. They had great noses on them. Great noses. But I've also heard they have terrible health issues.
Yeah, cataracts.
They have thin skin. Stuff like that.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I got a Mason right now. She's about 8-9 months. She hasn't shown, she's a puppy, so it's early. She hasn't shown any signs of that yet. She's doing good, but
and obviously it's gonna come down to what you experience from that dog. But to answer that, a Noah bred dog, something like that, some old school Mason type stuff that's been pretty heavily inbred. I want to give a whirl. More
old booth stuff before the bull crap started with all of that. Yeah, I would give that a whirl. I want to see what that's about. You know, Clute dogs. I would really be interested to get something that's a really good representation of that and not just a little bit of it in there. Yeah, there's a lot of dogs that I would really be interested to try just to see. Does that mean they're going to earn a spot in the breeding program? Who knows? You know, certain breeds or certain lines of dogs mix better with certain lines of dogs. But yeah, no, that like I'm open to everything. If somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I just want you to hunt this puppy and give me your honest opinion," I'd do it. I'd drive and go get the dog.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I'd do it. You're gonna learn more by doing that than by turning someone down because what the blah blah blah, you know, whatever comes from it. But yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff that I would be interested in hunting more. I would be interested in hunting more of the Cocker style of dogs or the Murdoch style of dogs or whatever it is, you know, because you got to kind of try everything and see how everything falls before you start making these broad assumptions.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I said, you know, and I'm sure that y'all could school me a lot more on what it is about the Noah dogs that just made them so special and everything like that. But from what I've heard and the people that I've heard talk about it, you know, it's been an interesting thing to hear.
Yeah, I caught some shit the last episode just because I talked a lot about Sissy, who was the female that got bred to Noah, who produced a dog that I owned. And the reason I have like a lot of bias towards Sissy is because I've met Sissy in person.
Yeah.
I'm going to have more bias towards a dog that I've physically met in person that I enjoy working versus one I've heard stories of.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely understand that. And, you know, that's just how it's going to go. That's, you know, whatever happens, it's always going to come back to the same conclusion of it's going to be your experience.
Yeah.
Which something that's always, you're going to have to put a lot more merit on. So.
No, 100%. But let's see what Ron wants to do when he comes back. But we've covered a lot of bases. We definitely got to get you back on here as far as just like general topics.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely interested. I'm definitely interested to learn more stuff. You know, I got to watch about halfway through your last episode, and I had heard Noah's name before mentioned and all of that, but you know, it started connecting some dots that I had seen, you know, when it comes to a lot of stuff and all of that, and you know, it's just gonna be something along those lines, something that's gonna be what you want to hear and what you want to do. And you know, any information is good information in my opinion. So
yeah, no, exactly. 100%. Like, gosh,
definitely.
This guy's trying to do some serious digging. This Anthro guy is trying to do some serious digging into this old bloodline, I guess.
The late Wayne Short was so proud if he's seen Short in any pedigrees.
I've heard of Wayne Short. Yeah. I'll give you that, but
this guy did some digging for that though. He had to ask the right question to eventually get you to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard of Wayne Short. I know I've heard of him. But yeah, that's about it. I've heard of Wayne Short. I've seen him. So he that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that he that's who Sooner Pride was, but I've heard of Wayne Short. Definitely.
Wayne Short.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like we covered a lot, and I think we're in a pretty good spot here. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Ron, or are we good? Or
no, I mean, yeah, it's been a good night. We covered a lot of things. We've been on here for basically 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to thank Carson for coming through. We appreciate you. Everything you told us, everything. I mean, I've learned a lot. I'm pretty sure we all learned a lot here and there. You know what I mean? I'm hoping sure everyone who's viewing this live and everyone who's gonna view this in the future, you know what I mean, learns a lot. And yeah, we're just here to have fun and
Yeah.
build this Patterdale family. You know what I mean? Again, we all have our opinions and to each our own. And again, Carson, thank you for coming through. Appreciate you. This
Definitely.
is we do this every Wednesday. We'll be here 10 p.m. next Wednesday. Interviewing someone else. Of course, it'll be me and my bro Marshall hosting like always. New England Patterdale Terrier Club, LYL Dogs. This is also sponsored by the PTCA. So yeah, we're trying to keep this going where we all learn and have fun and get together on Wednesdays nights. And as dog men and dog woman, it's a good thing to have because if you love dogs, it's you always love to sit down and talk about dogs. So this is a place where we could do this. And as you see, we get into other dogs. We always end up talking about other breeds here and there too. But for the main part, yeah, we're here to talk about the Patterdale Terrier, everything Patterdale and anything Patterdale. And yeah, everyone who was here came through tonight in the chat. Thanks for coming through. Spread the word. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, Again, Carson, thank you. Marshall, you want to say anything? Actually, Carson, do you want to say anything? We get up in here, and then we'll let Marshall finish it out. But Carson, you want to say anything?
I
Before we
appreciate
get up out of here.
I appreciate it. It's been a good time, and I know I've probably ruffled some feathers and disappointed some people by not name dropping, but that's what finding your own kind of a way is for. So yeah, I would just kind of keep it doing it like that. So
No, it makes the most sense. At the end of the day, everyone's going to find their own way. At the end, you're putting your work in.
Yep.
Gotta do your own homework. Gotta put your work in. If respectfully, if people do their enough homework and do enough grinding and trying to figure out things, they'll find what they want, even if it's something that you didn't mention. You know what I mean? So yeah. That being said, Marshall, you wanna say anything to the Patterdale lovers, the fellow Patterdale lovers before we get up out of here?
I would say, guys, just keep an eye on these episodes and start making some comparisons and compare and contrast, and just let me know what you think after a couple of these episodes about how you feel about these dogs. But
okay,
for the most part, I think we're in a pretty good spot here. So
yeah, shout out to everyone that came through. See you guys next Wednesday. I am enjoying tuning in. Got here late, so I'll watch from the beginning later. Yes, next Wednesday we'll be here 10 p.m. We'll be going live again. Same channel, same time. We'll have someone else we're interviewing, and yeah, you'll find out that day. But yeah, Wednesday 10 p.m. next Wednesday we'll be here live. Shout out to everyone who came through. Shout out to Carson. Shout out to Marshall. Yeah, and we out. Till next time. Y'all have a good night. Everyone have a good night. If you're at work, drive home safe. If you're home, get some good sleep. Get ready for work in the morning. Me personally, I'm gonna have to go let these dogs out real quick. I'm pretty sure some of y'all got to do the same. But peace. Have a good one.
see y'all.